Hello and welcome to Deakin's Virtual Open Day. My name is Jo and I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies in the School of Nursing and Midwifery. And today I'm joined by Nikki, who is Discipline Head Midwifery Programs. We're thrilled to have you with us today to explore the Bachelor of Nursing courses here at Deakin. We'll also be hosting a live Q&A session after this information session to answer any questions you might have. You can start writing your questions in the panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and these will be responded to during our live Q&A. I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we're all gathered today. We are gathered virtually constructed and physically dispersed. So I do want to take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognise the traditional lands on which we do our business today. Deakin would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which our university campuses are located, and that's the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, whose country is our Geelong waterfront campuses are located, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, whose country our Burwood campuses are located on, and which I am coming to you from today, and also the Peek Wurrung people of the Maar Nation on our Warrnambool campus, where our Warrnambool campus is located. I do want to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and thank the custodians for their care of the land. A quick overview of the presentation today. So this is a discovery session for you. So it's about what can Deakin offer you and why choose the Bachelor of Nursing courses here at Deakin. I'm going to talk a little bit about the application process and our courses that we offer here at Deakin.
In addition to having the most satisfied students, as a School of Nursing, we're also ranked in the top 1% of schools of nursing in the world. As you can see here, our employability rates are really high. So 94% of our undergraduate students are employed shortly after completing their degree. So just to put that in some context for you, we graduate over 900 students a year. So that means by the end of your course, almost every student will have secured a job.
That's right. So all those mums and dads that are listening, you can be pretty happy to know that your loved one is going to get a job when they finish if they come to Deakin. But what you can do when you're qualified, nursing gives you a breadth of experiences in our Bachelor of Nursing courses. You can, when you graduate, when you're registered, you can actually work in paediatrics, you can work in general practice communities, you can work in obviously acute hospital settings, so in medical surgical areas, accident emergency. If you do our combined degree, nursing and midwifery, you can also work as a midwife. But nursing is a really diverse career. Absolutely love it. It is such a privilege to be a nurse, to actually be at the beginning of someone's life or at the end of someone's life. My journey through nursing has certainly not been what I expected. I started off thinking I was going to be a cardiothoracic nurse, and I loved the heart at school, and that's what I understood, and ended up working through trauma and intensive care, and then found my way into academia, which is a place I never thought I would be, but absolutely love. And certainly started, nursing is a journey and it's not finished when you graduate. I always thought when I finished that was it. I was never going to go back to the books, and it's sort of probably only been about 7 or 8 years that I haven't studied out of my entire nursing career. So you certainly have many opportunities in nursing to work in lots of different areas. I had friends that went and worked on cruise ships when they graduated. There's not that cruise ships maybe at the moment, Nikki, and COVID's not a good idea, but certainly there's lots of varied opportunities for you to work around your lifestyle or in areas that really suit you. Deakin, the School of Nursing and Midwifery at Deakin is really proud to have strong industry partnership, and we've done this through a network connection through the Centre of Quality and Patient Safety, where we actually have co-joint appointments between the Health Service and the School of Nursing and Midwifery. There's a professor of nursing or a professor of nursing and midwifery at each of these partnerships. And you can see that they're not little industry partnerships, they're very large, substantial networks, health networks within Victoria. So Alfred Health, Barwon Health, Eastern Health, Monash Health, Western Health and Epworth are really large organisations. And what does that mean for you? It means that you get an opportunity to impact, you know, millions of patient care episodes and thousands of nurses. So we can actually influence, directly influence the care through our research of our nurses and our midwives and our patients and women that we care for. It also means that our courses and the curriculum that you're learning is industry relevant. So we get input from our professors that are in these organisations to help us write our curriculum to make sure what you're learning is absolutely what is needed in the real world right now and into the future. So it's thinking about making sure that you've got the skills and the knowledge that you need to be a safe and competent nurse or midwife moving forward. So these partnerships are integral to the school's success, and we've actually won awards for these partnerships. It's very it's fantastic. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah, so it's through these really strong clinical partnerships that Deakin's able to be innovative and respond to industry needs, because we are kind of at the forefront of industry, and that makes sure that the qualification that we offer you is one that is highly sought after by industry, and that's evidenced by that strong employability of Deakin students that you saw earlier. And by offering you a clinical placement in right in that very first trimester of your course, gives you the opportunity to get those hands-on experiences really early and just be involved directly with nursing care right from the very first trimester of your course. So to work as a nurse or midwife in Australia, you must be registered with the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia. So successful completion of your Bachelor of Nursing or Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery means that you will be eligible for this registration in Australia. And so what that means is that you'll have the ability to work across any state or territory in Australia, because it's a national registration.
Thanks, Nikki. So in terms of what we can offer you as a school, well, we certainly, as you heard, we have really strong links with partnerships and industry, and that does directly impact what you're learning here at Deakin. We also employ key clinicians from those partnerships and other industry to help teach and facilitate your learning in the classroom. So what you're learning is contemporary, current evidence-based, and what industry need right now. So it's really about making sure that what you're learning is going to set you up for not only when you graduate, but following on from that as well. So making sure it's really contemporary and up to date. We also have really state-of-the-art resources, and hopefully you can get to do a campus tour where you can come and see our wonderful clinical simulation spaces on all campuses. And they're designed to really give you the real hospital environment experience without the stress of the hospital environment. So in the simulation space, you are supported and facilitated with no more than 16 other students. So we might be quite a large school, but you will only ever see 16 other students in that simulation space, or 32 students in a seminar. So we're really quite small. We don't have big lectures and things like that. But that simulation space is really about giving you support and preparing you. You can make mistakes and it's okay. It's about giving you the guidance, the knowledge and the skills needed to be able to go out into the hospital setting and undertake the real work. As Nikki said, we do clinical placements in first trimester of your first year of study. But that is very supported. So you're doing the learning and the facilitation and the skill development before you go out there. You can combine your degree with another, as Nikki said. So we offer 3 double degrees, so Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery, Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Psychological Sciences, and the Bachelor of Nursing, Public Health and Health Promotion. They're 4-year degrees that you can undertake across Burwood or Geelong Waterfront campus, and the Bachelor of Nursing Psychological Science and Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery is also offered at the Warrnambool campus. Or if you choose to undertake something a little different, one of the first schools of nursing in Australia, but certainly the first in Victoria to offer this distinct clinical leadership course. And that was purely came from that industry partnership I was talking about before, where they said that they're wanting nurses that are coming out with skills that just have a little bit more insight into what it means to be a leader in the health service. So together with the industry, so with our hospitals, we designed this course quite a few years ago now that really is offered to a very small number of students, but it's designed to give them insight into what it's like to be a leader in the health system. So you're buddied with directors of nursing or nursing unit managers and have a mentored experience in the hospital. And you also get to understand what it's like to be an educator and a facilitated through education and know what it's like to teach first year students. So in your final year, you'll actually be buddied with one of our academic staff and you'll actually get to teach our first year students. So between 99 and 100% of those graduates actually get employed. They are very sought after by industry and really well recognised across our partnership network. Another difference for Deakin is our clinical fellowship program. And the school has a variety of clinical placements available for students. We use metropolitan hospitals, we use regional rural hospitals throughout the entire state of Victoria. So as we are one of the largest schools of nursing in Australia, certainly the largest in Victoria, and we use all of the health services across that particular network for your clinical placements. However, what's different about Deakin is our clinical fellowship program, and it's different to any other partnership program in Australia, and it's unique to our school. So currently we offer 12 clinical fellowships, and you can see the organisations on the screen: Alfred Health, Barwon Health, Eastern Health, Monash Health, Epworth Healthcare. I probably shouldn't name them because then I'll leave one out. But if you elect to join a fellowship program, so this is something you can choose to join at the beginning, you'll attend all of your placements with that organisation. And also Barwon Health, Eastern Health and Epworth Healthcare also offer you an opportunity to undertake your teaching at that organisation as well. So just know that these health services aren't small. So yes, you might go to that one organisation for your placements, but it can be very, Eastern Health, for example, it's from Mulgrave to Box Hill to Healesville. It's a very diverse range of experiences available for you. It gives you the ability to build relationships and with key staff and the organisation. So a lot of students' apprehension about going to placement is, where do I park? Who do I ask? Where do I go? Where's the ward? What is the paperwork like? And often it takes students 2 or 3 days to really get comfortable with being at a health service on placement. Being part of a fellowship takes that away. So you hit the ground running from day one. You keep coming back to the organisation. You know where to park. You know what all the protocols and procedures are. You know who's who and who to go to get support and get help. So it is really being part of that organisation. You get opportunities to go to in-services and education that's offered at those organisations. And there's also the advantage of having a guaranteed interview for your graduate year. So it really, again, if you go on and do your graduate year at these organisations, you'll be flying. You won't be worried about, do I know this health service and how do I understand where to go and where to get to? It really does set you up beautifully to really fly and have a great opportunity in your graduate year. So again, this slide's just giving you a bit of a snapshot of the courses that we offer and where they're offered on what campus. So it's really important to know that every single one of our courses is underpinned by the Bachelor of Nursing. So the Bachelor of Nursing is, you know, in every single other course that you're going to do here at the School of Nursing and Midwifery. The Bachelor of Nursing is offered full-time, or the Bachelor of Nursing courses are offered full-time study mode only. So when you've finished year 12 and you want to get straight into nursing and midwifery, you'll be done in 3 years. And the Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery is offered on all campuses. Then the Bachelor of Nursing Psychological Sciences is offered on all campuses. The Bachelor of Public Health Health Promotion is just at the Burwood and Waterfront Geelong campus, and the Clinical Leadership, which I've spoken about before, is just offered at the Burwood campus at the moment. And again, that is a really niche course to a small number of students. So just a quick snapshot of the course grid. So we refer to course grids or course structures, and we refer to subjects at Deakin as units. So you might hear us talk about different units of study. They're actually the subjects. So everyone calls them different things, and you'll get the hang of it wherever you go. But in the first trimester of study, you can see in the pink, they're the units that have a clinical component. So you do your academic learning and teaching in the classrooms, facilitated in small groups of, as like I said, 32 in a seminar, 16 in your simulation, where you'll learn the knowledge and skills required, and then you'll go out on a facilitated placement where you're supported and precepted out in the hospital setting or the clinical setting, wherever it might be, to meet the requirement of that unit. You'll also have an opportunity to undertake 3 electives in the Bachelor of Nursing only. And those electives can be from any elective across the university. So if you really loved photography at secondary school or have a passion for photography, you could do a photography elective. One of those electives need to be from a list of approved electives from the School of Nursing and Midwifery, but the other 2 can be from any school in the university across the board. So a language, dance, photography, like I said, it really does depend on what your special niche is. Clinical placements, like we've already said before, start in trimester 1, year 1. You do a 2-week block. Our placements are in blocks. So it really enables you to consolidate that learning. So you're not flipping in and out. You're actually there for an extended period of time where you can actually learn and feel a part of the team and consolidate the knowledge and the skills that you've acquired through your classes. They're in a range of settings. So they could be from acute complex care, aged care, mental health, peri-op, special care areas, pediatrics. It really does depend on the particular subject that you're undertaking, and making sure that we are giving you the opportunities that you need to meet the requirements of that unit. They're also, in terms of placements, like I said before, across a wide variety of placements. So if you're not part of a fellowship, then your placement could be anywhere, and rural opportunities are fantastic. So don't roll your nose or roll your eyes or screw your nose up at a rural or regional placement. They give you the breadth of experience you just do not get at a metropolitan placement. They're fantastic. So everyone who I know has done them absolutely love them. They feel that they wish they had done it sooner. Nikki's going to talk you through the midwifery structure. Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks, Jo. So this outlines the course structure if you undertake the Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery combined degree. So the pink boxes here are your midwifery specific units. So you can see that all the units that Jo's described earlier are also represented in the grid. And the green units are units that are specific to nursing and midwifery. And the turquoise ones at the ends are your nursing specific units. So in addition to the nursing experiences that Jo's just outlined, that you'll have experiences in the clinical setting in every trimester for the Bachelor of Midwifery component of your course. So your clinical experiences will be in all areas of the maternity setting, with placement opportunities again in large city and regional maternity settings in both the public and the private sector. So right across pregnancy care, labour and birth, the postnatal period, and also in the special care nursery. So as you can see here, the clinical hours of placement increase over the years. So as you grow with your skills and knowledge, you'll have more hours to consolidate these in the clinical setting. So that equates to 840 hours of midwifery placement, and that's in addition to your 800 hours of nursing placement.
But you have 4 years to undertake that degree. Yes. So there is a little bit more time to squeeze it all in, but it is a full-time degree. Like I said before, we only offer our courses full-time. So you really are, if you're signing up to do one of our courses, you really are signing up to make sure that you're available throughout the whole year to be able to undertake these placements, especially in the double degree midwifery. A lot of the placements are undertaken outside of teaching time. So through your holiday period and things like that, you're having to do a consolidated placement. Really important. Deakin also offer a variety of international opportunities, and one of the exciting things that we are hoping, pending COVID, to get up and running again is our study tours that we offer as an elective here in the Bachelor of Nursing, School of Nursing and Midwifery, and that's for Bachelor of Nursing students. Students who do double degrees can also do a study tour if they like to, but it's in addition to their core units that they have to do in their double degree. But we offer study tours to Bhutan, China, Thailand, the Philippines, and the experiences you get on those are fantastic. I've been to the Philippines, where I took about 20 students across for 2 weeks, where we just immersed ourselves in the Philippine culture. We spent time in the hospitals over there. We went out and ran health clinics where we had students and young kids coming up, and we were doing health assessments and wound dressings and simple things. It is really such a valuable experience that will value add to you as a person, but also to you as a nurse or a midwife moving forward. It is a fantastic opportunity that we offer here at Deakin. And there's also opportunities for trimester exchange to Denmark in the second year of your study. So there's something to consider if you're thinking of Deakin. Okay, everyone just take a bit of a breath now. It's okay. Now the ATAR slide, when it goes up, when we used to have people in the room, which was so lovely, but there was sometimes when you hear or when you see the actual ATARs. ATARs are really supply and demand driven. So it is based on the numbers of people applying and the amount of places available in that particular year. So it really does depend. That number isn't set in concrete, okay? So if you really hand on heart want to do Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery, but you think a 92 ATAR at Burwood might be a bit out of your reach, still put it in as your number one. But then consider, okay, but 86 might be all right. So I might put Geelong Waterfront as number 2. And then, you know, if you really want nursing and mid, put Warrnambool at number 3. But just remember that every single one of our combined degrees and the Bachelor of Nursing Clinical Leadership is underpinned by our Bachelor of Nursing. So there are many and varied ways to get to doing what you want to do. So if you want to be a midwife, Nikki will talk to you a little bit about that later, but you can do the Bachelor of Nursing and then come back as a registered nurse to do a postgraduate degree in midwifery if that is your choice. But things to remember: if you're doing year 11 or 12, English is the only prereq at 3 and 4, and a minimum score of 25 in English or 30 in EAL. Remember to follow the VTAC instructions really carefully when applying for any School of Nursing or Midwifery course in Australia. Really look at what their requirements are. Every School of Nursing or Bachelor of Nursing course, Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery course requires an English language declaration from every single applicant. So make sure that you've uploaded that document onto the VTAC system. If we don't have that document, we can't actually select you. So really, really important to follow the instructions really carefully through the VTAC website. The next is just a slide for non-school leavers. So any of you who are enrolled nurses or who have done other courses or just want to return to study and do nursing or midwifery, please refer to the VTAC website again. All the information is there about how you ought to apply, but all of our applicants get picked up through VTAC. That is the one source of truth for you all. So make sure you're across that VTAC website. The English language declaration form is for all applicants. So enrolled nurses, you must be registered with AHPRA and also upload that English language declaration. And just when you're putting in if you're a non-school leaver, when you're putting in your application, really consider a personal statement. We do read them. We have a team of people who work on selection, and we do actually read everyone's individual statements. So they're really important to put a little bit about you, who you are, and why you want to come to Deakin Nursing. It does make a difference. For any international students that are listening today, please go to the Deakin International website. It's on this particular slide. You can apply directly through them, and all the information that you need to adhere to is on that website. And there are minimum English language requirements for the Bachelor of Nursing courses. So please look at that in addition to Deakin's requirements. It's again really important, and that declaration form is for you as well. Again, this is a pretty quick slide because the process is VTAC for everybody. So if you want to come to enroll in any one of our courses, please go to the VTAC website and look at all the individual information that you've got on there. Further studies. Thanks, Nikki.
So if you're thinking already beyond your initial bachelor degree, Deakin offers a variety of really highly regarded postgraduate areas of study. So you can specialise in particular clinical areas such as diabetes or critical care, perioperative nursing or emergency nursing. And as Jo mentioned earlier, the Graduate Diploma of Midwifery is an alternate entry-level course. So for those who wish to move into midwifery after completing their Bachelor of Nursing. And if research is an area that you wish to explore further, then Nursing Honours is a great place to start, with further research studies also offered in Masters of Nursing and at the PhD level.
Well, thank you, Nikki, and thanks everyone for joining us today. It is great to see so many of you interested in our Bachelor of Nursing courses here at Deakin. If you'd like to learn more, please explore the resources on this page or across the virtual Open Day website. There's lots of information. Sometimes it can be information overload, but please look. And if there's anything specific, stick around for the live Q&A, which is coming up just now. It's about to kick off, or you can send through your questions through that Q&A, and the panel will answer them as we go in the next bit. If you need to head to another session, you can speak to the experts at Deakin through the web chat anytime throughout the day. There will be people there to answer your questions. And please don't forget, Open Day is back in August, and also think about checking in for one of our Open Day our campus tours. So they give you a fabulous opportunity to come and look at what resources and what our simulation space looks like and what our campuses look like. It's a fabulous opportunity. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks. Bye now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nursing and Midwifery live Q&A session. I'm Jo, the Director of Undergraduate Studies, and today I'm joined by our presenter, Nikki, who's Discipline Head of Midwifery Programs, and the wonderful Kirsten, who's a second-year Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery student, who also happens to be an Eastern Health Fellowship student. So any questions regarding that, please post them. If you'd like to ask a question, type it into the Q&A section in the question panel on this page. We'll do our best to respond to as many questions as we can during this session. However, if you do have an unanswered question at the end of the session, a team of experts will be available all day on web chat to assist you with any queries. At the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll notice a yellow Chat Now icon. So click on this link after the session and that will connect you with our team. But to kick us off, we have our first question, which is, can you choose which healthcare organisation you can go to with the clinical fellowship? So great question. Good one to kick off. Our clinical fellowship is a distinctive partnership that we have, which is different from any other university. And we have several, as you would have heard in the presentation, we have several organisations that you can join. So students can elect to join a fellowship and they can choose which one they would like to join, and they apply through the application process. So you can choose which healthcare organisation as long as it offers the fellowship. We've got a question. If I start my course in the second semester, what does this mean for the rest of my course? Our course actually starts at the beginning of the year in each trimester of study. So you can't start the course anytime. You actually start at the beginning of the year for all of our courses. And that's because we have lots of clinical placements that you have to get through, and we have units that are what we call prereq units. So you need to pass certain units before you can go on in the course and continue on, and that's around your clinical placement. So all of our units help prepare you to undertake your clinical placements as a nurse or a midwife as you go through our degree. So really important to start the units at the beginning. This is a question for you, Nikki. So is a graduate diploma of midwifery recognised as the same as studying midwifery in the double degree of the Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery? Tricky one.
Yeah, thanks, Jo. So absolutely. So both of those courses will lead to registration as a midwife with our professional governing body. So to be able to work as a midwife in Australia, you need to be registered as a registered midwife. So I guess the difference is from your graduate diploma of midwifery is that a prerequisite to study that course is that you need to be a registered nurse first. So it is an alternate pathway to midwifery. So if you were very keen to do midwifery and you weren't successful in getting into the Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Midwifery, then you could do a Bachelor of Nursing first and then go on to do a graduate diploma of midwifery following that. And yes, you would end up with the same qualifications.
Yeah, great question. And it's a really common question that comes up year in, year out. How do I become a midwife? Kirsten, I've got a question for you from one of the panel, and it's, what does a normal week look like for a nursing student, and roughly how many hours are students on campus each week? Thanks.
That's
Kirsten.
A really interesting question, because I like to think that it depends on you. So it depends on what trimester it is. There's a lot of opportunities to do things online, or you can come in for seminars. So I typically, for my nursing and my midwifery units, will have 2-hour classes, which are like my simulations. So they're really hands-on, nutting out the skills in our clinical spaces. So I'll always come on campus for them. They're really valuable. They're probably my favorite time to be on campus. Other than that, I'll have a couple of seminars, maybe a tutorial. We'll go through something in smaller group work. So it really depends. It depends on what you're studying, but I'd probably say there's been 10 to 15 hours in class related stuff and studying with friends and working on assignments.
Yeah, so on average, 1 credit point of study, they say, equates to about 10 hours of work. So some of that is, as Kirsten said, in smaller classrooms, in seminars, face-to-face, and some of that is in your own time. So if you're studying full-time with us, which is all our courses are actually offered only in full-time mode, that means you've got to sort of fit in around about 40 hours of study to be successful as you go through. And, the more time you put in, the better nurse and midwife you'll be in the end. It really does make a difference if you can actually put in that 40 hours. It makes it a lot easier for you. There's a question around the, oh, sorry, it's just gone from my thing. How many hours of placement does an enrolled nurse need to do? And does it take into account the 40 hours in their diploma? Just in terms of enrolled nurses, you do get 8 credit points of recognised prior learning, or what we call RPL. And that is essentially year 1 of the degree. So you'll get 4 weeks credit to, out of 20. So you still have to do 16 hours. And that's because enrolled nurses and registered nurses are at very different levels in the nursing sphere. So you're actually needing to work at a different level. Even as a student nurse, a student registered nurse, you need to be working at a different level as an enrolled nurse. So it's really important that you are supported through that by being buddied with registered nurses as you go through. So you learn what it means to be a registered nurse. And it is a very different role. Yes, we're all nurses, but it is a very different role with very different responsibilities and leadership required. So out of the 800 hours, you still do need to do about 760 hours, I think. Could be wrong if my maths probably isn't very good. Very good. So that was for Mel. That was a question come from Mel. So thanks for that, Mel. International study opportunities. That's a great question, and something that Deakin is really proud of, that we offer students, if there's no COVID, opportunities to go overseas and study in what we have an elective unit called International Study Tours. So where students can take opportunities to go and learn about the healthcare system and work with clinicians in another country, such as the Philippines, Thailand, China, Bhutan. But we also have an exchange program with Denmark, where you can go in the second year of your course, if you're a Bachelor of Nursing student, and undertake some equivalent units in Denmark and get some credit as you come back into your study. So it doesn't take any more time. It just gives you that opportunity. And Deakin itself, and please go onto the Deakin website, has a wide range of opportunities internationally. Given COVID has sort of had a bit of an impact, and I know, Kirsten, you probably wanted to do some international take up that in your course as well, but it's been a bit of a tricky time.
It definitely has been. Yeah, so unfortunately I haven't been able to do any international studies, but that's not to say that I don't know people who did during COVID. There was a lot of opportunities for virtual study tours, just not nursing because it's so hands-on.
Yeah, and it's a real shame because it does really value add. I've been on a study tour with a group of 24 students to the Philippines, and it is the best experience. It really hits home, you know, how lucky we are and to have the amount of resources we do in our country. We're very privileged in terms of our healthcare system here, and it really does highlight the importance of those really basic fundamental skills and how important they are when you're trying to communicate with somebody who may not speak the same language as you, or who may be dealing with certain health conditions that you're not familiar with. Really, really important to have those fundamental skills. So how do nursing placements work? Can I choose the organisation I complete this, Anne? And could I go into state or regional? Nikki, I might get you to bump into this one.
Sure. So to answer the first part of the question in terms of choices, students are able to pop in some preferences. So you'll be able to see for each of the placements that you are going to undertake that there'll be a variety of organisations that you can choose from. And so you would rank those according to choices. Some of those choices may well be regionally in Victoria, but our clinical placements do students stay in Victoria and don't travel interstate for placements.
Yeah, and the placements are all organised for you, so there is no need for any student to go outside of, you know, to reach out to organisations and find and source their own placement. We are lucky enough to have a wonderful partnership with all of the healthcare organisations in Victoria, and we successfully graduate our students every year. They achieve all of their 800 hours. It's really down to that partnership. We have a really wonderful partnership with our healthcare organisations. So you can be pretty sure that, you know, you don't need to worry about your placements.
I would definitely say from a student's perspective, you'll enter a ward and they'll see you in your Deakin scrubs and they'll go, oh, Thank goodness we've got a Deakin student. They don't have to worry about teaching you basics. You show up prepared, and that's like I've definitely noticed. And nurses do appreciate having Deakin students on their wards. They like teaching us, and I get a lot out of my placements. And I think that's mainly because of the great partners we have.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Kirsten. That was unscripted, so well done, Kirsten. Love it. Nikki, what does the workload look like for a nurse or midwife, and does it differ depending on where you work and what you specialise in?
Workload. I guess, what are we talking about in workload? I guess from when you graduate, most registered nurses and registered midwives in their first year will undertake a formal graduate program where you're actually supported in that transition year into the role of a registered nurse or registered midwife. And so most organisations employ their graduates at 0.8. So that's kind of changed a bit. It used to be full-time, but I think there's a much better recognition now of sort of that work-life balance. And so they are employed usually at 0.8. And you do need to be employed at probably at that kind of ratio to be able to, kind of really get yourself immersed into the organisation. But after that year, in terms of, how much you have to work, that's very much up to you. There's a lot of flexibility, particularly with part-time work. Obviously there's shift work involved, so you do work kind of on a 24-hour roster, so days, evenings and night duties right across the week and weekends. Does it differ depending on where you work? Absolutely, because some areas of nursing aren't 24/7 services. So maybe if you chose to go into something like community nursing, then that would be sort of a Monday to Friday kind of business hours type job. So absolutely. Look, there's just, I could probably talk all day about all the different permutations and combinations of how you could work, but really, I mean, the world's your oyster in terms of, specialising, in all sorts of areas of nursing. That then comes with obviously different sort of sort of the workload looks a bit different depending on where you're working. Yeah.
That's a good point, Nikki. I think most of us go out thinking, I want to be a nurse and have all these ideas of what it means to be a nurse. And all I can say to anyone who's thinking of doing nursing or midwifery is just take every opportunity that comes your way, because you just don't know what door it's going to open. And I certainly never thought I would end up in academia teaching nursing and midwifery students. It was so far from my mind when I finished. And my pathway to through my nursing has been intensive care and trauma. And again, when I was a nurse, when I was studying as a student nurse, last thing I wanted to do was have patients who can't talk back to me because they had a tube down their throat. That was horrible. I needed to have that conversation. So it's really, it gives you such a variety, and it's such a privilege to be a nurse and a midwife, to be with people at their most vulnerable, and to be able to provide that support and that care is the most privileged job in the world. And I can't think of any other profession that is lucky enough to have that like we do. It is truly a real privilege. Kirsten, I don't know if you wanted to add anything. You've been out recently with the placements.
So yeah, I'd say that like definitely taking a hold of any opportunity you're given, even as a student. So I never knew that I wanted to be a midwife until I did work experience in year 10 at the Royal Women's, and that was a real eye-opener. And that opportunity was, I emailed them and they were like, no, we're full. And then the day before it started, they were like, we've had someone pull out. If you can make it, you can come and do it. And I wonder what my life would be like if I hadn't have taken that choice. I probably wouldn't have been studying midwifery. And my course has given me so many great experiences, and being part of fellowship, meeting so many amazing people that have really had an impact on like my development so far, even as like a baby nurse or a baby midwife. It's incredible what like the support around you, how much of a difference that can make to how you'll progress through your degree, because it can be hard. It can be challenging, and it can be a full-on degree, but when you're supporting yourself with those kind of people, it makes it a lot easier.
That's a really good point about being a little challenging at time. And we do have a question about what does the average week look like for a double degree nursing and mid student? So Kirsten, you're prime position to answer that one.
Yeah, so it's very similar to being a nursing student, except every trimester you'll normally have a midwifery unit included as well. So midwifery, being its own discipline, still has all its simulation requirements, placement requirements. It's really, I find it really good to study them at the same time, because I find that a lot of the stuff that I learn as a nurse is really complementary to what I'm learning as a midwife, especially a lot of those like patient interaction skills, like you need them regardless of who your patient is. But I've actually been able to take a lot of the principles that I've learned in midwifery, particularly with like pain management, alternative ways to combat pain or work through pain, onto general wards. Like in my nursing, it's really interesting how both of those can be used together. And that's why I chose to do the double degree, and I'm really glad I did. But yeah, I'd say that on average, it looks pretty similar across the board.
And that's, again, going back to that previous point we made about that 4 credit points of study equates to about 40 hours of study. So it doesn't matter what degree you're doing, whether it's the double or the single, your full-time enrollment includes 4 credit points. Sometimes 1 unit in nursing and midwifery is equal to 2 credit points. So you might be only studying 3 units instead of 4. But it really does depend on the timing of your course as well. Obviously, as you get into your final years, you'll do longer clinical stints. So your clinical placements will be a bit longer. So your time on campus will be reduced. In first year, for example, we work on trimesters at Deakin. So we have trimesters of study. The core nursing and midwifery units run in trimester 1 and trimester 2 only. There are elective options for trimester 3. But the trimesters have 11 weeks of teaching. And in first year, you're on campus for 9 of those. So you do your seminars and your simulations. You'll come and do some face-to-face teaching with us on campus. And then you go out for a 2-week placement in your first trimester of study. That is same in second trimester. So you'll do 9 weeks of teaching and 2 weeks of clinical placement. In third year, you'll have about 7 weeks with us face-to-face, and you'll do a 4-week placement. And in third year, did I just say third year then? Second year, you'll do 7 weeks and 4 weeks of placement. And in third year, you have about 6 weeks on campus with us, but that's because you're doing a really, big stint of clinical, 4 or 5 weeks of clinical placement. So it really does depend on your course and when you're studying. And often these questions come up because students have jobs, they work, and they would need to earn money. And we get it. We get that. We get that, that as you're, looking after yourself and putting yourself through a degree, that you do need to work. There is ample opportunity for students to have a part-time job. It is doable. Most of our students do it. I would suggest, no more than sort of 20 to 24 hours a week of work will make your life a lot easier when you're doing a full-time course. And you also need to factor in clinical placements. They're in blocks, so you do need to factor in time away from your work. You can't work full-time in the clinical space and then think you can go to work at a part-time, but it's just too much. So you do need to ensure that the finances are going to support you to enroll and study full-time as you go through a nursing and mid degree. Did you have something else there, Kirsten? No? All good?
Oh, no, definitely. You're working 40-hour weeks on placement, and they are laborious days. They are very immersive, and they can even be quite emotional at times. Like especially being new to it, you're learning a lot. So to then go back to a part-time job after that can be quite difficult.
Your brain will be a little fried, I think, by the end of the day.
Your brain definitely is fried. You come home and Netflix is all that's on your mind. So.
I love it. We've got a question here about a pathway to becoming a nurse practitioner. Great question, but it is a process to get there. So often you need to work in that area for a certain period of time and become a real specialist in that particular area, and then you'll go on to do a PhD. to become a nurse practitioner. There is a nurse practitioner pathways that you can have a look at. So definitely that is an option, but you do need to consolidate in the area in which you're working at for a period of time to become a specialist in that area. What's the most challenging and rewarding parts of becoming a nurse? I mean, I spoke about this before, but the challenging parts, I think for me, working through has been the shift work. And people always say, oh, you get used to it. I don't think anyone ever gets used to working around the clock and shift work. And that is really, it's challenging, but it's also the most rewarding because you have your days off when other people don't. So the shops aren't busy. You don't have to rush around and try and get everything done on the weekend. So you can schedule your life around that a little bit more. But it is really about self-care. So, you know, shift work is challenging, but it's about knowing your limits, knowing when to take time out for yourself, keeping yourself well, eating, resting, doing all those things. Self-care and wellness is really, really important when you're becoming a nurse or a midwife. We are helping and giving a lot, so we do need to make sure that we're doing that to ourselves as well. And the rewarding parts, I mean, I could sit here for probably longer than we've got today to talk about how rewarding nursing and midwifery is, but to be with someone, and Nikki can talk about this, or even Kirsten, you've caught babies, you know, at the very beginning of somebody's life, and being with a woman as she's delivering would be the most magical. I haven't done it, but I can imagine it'd be quite magical. But I've, you know, also being with someone at the end of their life and holding their hand and being with someone while they're passing, you know, it is such a privileged job, and it is rewarding every single day. Every day is different. You walk into your shift, you're not sure what you're going to get. You know, there could be real challenges, or it could be a really nice day. You could be run off your feet and not even had lunch, or some days you've been able to spend that time and really connect with your patients. So I don't know if Kirsten and Nikki, you want to chime in here, but I love it.
So I definitely get very giddy at the thought of like the whole babies, but there's something really special about seeing a woman come in. My last midwifery placement was in labour and delivery. So come in, they're scared, there's pain, they don't know what's going on. And to get them to trust you and work with you so that they can get their baby here is such a privilege to be involved in that. And then it's crazy how like people will come back to you in your life. So I was just walking around my local Coles, turn around with my trolley, and bam, there's the first baby I birthed. Like, it's just crazy. And it's a really privilege. And the people remember you. Like, she was like, oh my goodness, I remember you. You were like such a great anchor, or like someone who was constant. Like, as a student, especially because you don't have some of the responsibilities of the full practitioner, I feel like you can spend a lot of time really focusing on getting the patient interaction correct, and that can make a really big difference in the care that someone feels like they've received.
Thanks, Kirsten. Nikki, I've got a question from Joe. Hey, Joe, how many days a week does the graduate diploma of midwifery, and what does the study load look like?
Okay, so most of our students that come into our graduate diploma of midwifery come in with in what we call our employment model. So they have the support of a clinical organisation that employs them usually sort of 2 days a week, working postnatally as a registered nurse and student midwife on their postnatal ward. So I guess that takes care of the earning money part while you're doing your graduate diploma of midwifery, but also obviously gives you, some great clinical experiences sort of in that area of postnatal care. So then I guess how does the study fit in around that? Most of the study is online now. There is sort of a 2-week intensive face-to-face block on campus at the start of the course. But after that, there's usually weekly online seminars, and then each trimester there's sort of 1 or 2 sessions where you would also come into campus for those simulation or practical skills. So study load is 3 credit points for the first and the second trimester of the course, So the course runs over 18 months. So then in the final trimester, there's you do your last 2. So it's an 8 credit point unit. So I guess it's similar to what Joe was talking about earlier in terms of for study load. It's about sort of that 10 hours a week, you know, for each of those units of study. So you don't quite have the same study load as your full-time undergraduate students, but yeah, probably working a couple of days a week. They then the same organisation then supports you to do your other clinical experiences. So you would have supernumerary time in birth suite or in antenatal care or in special care nursery to meet all of your requirements for registration. So essentially it's kind of full-time, I guess, by the time you do your 2 days of employment, a day of supernumerary, and then a day or 2 of obviously your university study.
You're just earning money, as you said, which is always a
bonus.
Which
is absolutely.
We are coming to the end of the Q&As, but we do have time for a few more questions. But I do just want to, if you've got some questions, get them in there. Just in terms of the clinical simulation labs, there's a question about the wanting to tell us about what they look like and how they are. I just want to say that Deakin is having an open day this year. So the best opportunity for you guys to come to campus and actually see our facilities is the best way to experience them. We'll have lots of staff in the simulation centre over open day, so you can actually come in and see and look and feel and touch. It will be wonderful, and we're so excited to have it back again. Sunday the 7th of August is the Geelong campus open day. Sunday the 14th of August is the Warrnambool campus open day, and Sunday the 28th of August is the Burwood campus open day, and you will see us on those days in the simulation centres and around campus. So please do try and come. That is the best way to talk about the simulation experience, I suppose, is to actually see it for yourself. But we have a state-of-the-art simulation centre across all of our campuses, including high fidelity simulation. So it really does immerse you in that ward environment, or in the labour and birth ward. We've even got a community room, so you can really feel like you're part of the you can practice in a safe space and feel like you're really part of it before you actually go out there. And that's there's also the next question is, as students, do you feel prepared for placements and then your career? So I suppose, Kirsten, it's probably a great question for you. And it certainly starts in that simulation space, I think.
100%. So I would definitely say that I have felt prepared when I go on my placements. Going into those simulation spaces, they look and feel exactly like a hospital. You interact with all the equipment that you're expected to know how to use on placement. And then the only big change is the person standing in front of you. So it's focusing on those interaction skills. But I've felt really prepared for my placements. I've also felt really supported. Deakin has a great network of people who, like, if you're struggling on my first placement, I remember being a little bit overwhelmed over the first day. You know, I went to my nurse in charge and was like, hey, this is overwhelming. She's like, let's break it down. You are day one, girl. Let's take it back to the basics. You're not expected to know everything right from the get-go. You are there to learn. And I feel like every ward you go onto it, the staff definitely make your clinical experience. And they were all students once too. And they definitely remember how intimidating it can be to walk into a ward and try and put your best foot forward.
Absolutely. So the course is actually written and scaffolded to make you prepared for your placement. So we do our simulations and our learning in the classroom to prepare you before you go out. We don't just throw you out and say, off you go and do your hours now. We'll see you when you come back. You're also supported when you're out there. So you always have contact with the not only the facility and the support that you get on at the organisation, but you also have supports at Deakin. So the unit and teams who actually work in that unit are more than happy to have conversations with students. They'll come out and see students when COVID's not around. There is that real connect between Deakin and the clinical environment. It's not like we just prepare students and send them out. It is really a partnership between all three of us, between the student, the placement, and the university. Question, this maybe Nikki, coming up to one of our last questions, will we be doing different placements? So one for nursing and one for midwifery at the same time?
Okay, so no, never at the same time. That would be very overwhelming, I'm sure. So as Kirsten was saying earlier, so your placements are full-time, so they're 40 hours a week. So so we carefully schedule your placements so that there would never be obviously an expectation that there's no clash with nursing and midwifery. So so they're scheduled across the year so that that they're discreetly either a nursing placement or a midwifery placement.
And we have the last question, which is how is the coursework set? So is there a mix of on-person, online and practical classes? And I think I did sort of just talk about this before, but it is, while Deakin is one of the largest schools of nursing, certainly in Victoria and up there in Australia, what you see on campus is really only small. The most students you'll see in your classroom will be 32, and that's in our seminars. So then in your simulations, it's broken down even further to be only 16 students in the seminars. And so it really gives you that opportunity to have that hands-on experience. There is a mix of all of our courses delivered face-to-face in terms of your seminar, seminars and simulations, but we do have online learning that is student self-directed, that students help them that help the students prepare before they come to class. So there might be a range of activities that you need to work through online before you then come into your seminar or your simulation, or it could be after your seminar or your simulation, you might have some online learning to do. So we use a mix of all, face-to-face practical classes, what we call simulations, and online learning to make sure we get through your degree. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. Thank you all for joining us. It's really terrific to see so many people interested in nursing and midwifery. I hope we've answered some of the questions from you today, but remember that there is the online web chat available, so you can continue to ask your questions, and there will be people online live all day to answer those questions for you. But if it's specifically nursing and midwifery questions, please come to our open day. You will see us on campus and you can ask all the questions you want to. We'll be more than happy to see you on the day. I hope you have a terrific Sunday afternoon, and I hope the weather stays nice for you all wherever you are, and we'll see you on campus in our open days. Thank you.